Hello and welcome to the Steve Kalis Show. I'm Steve Kalis. I'm not joined by Kevin Harris this week. I'm joined by Luke Lazenby. Luke, how you doing, mate? Thanks for joining me.
How you doing, mate? Nice to be here.
Yeah, thanks, man. How you feeling? You feeling relaxed? It's quite a weird, unusual environment. Look at this.
It is a little bit, but I'll get used to it.
That's good, and I'm glad that you agreed to be on the show, because what you sort of do for a living it's unusual, it's rare, you know what I mean? It's an exciting thing that I want to explore, with the hope that we can show people in Yeovil, especially young kids locally, that there's exciting career paths you can take that you might not think are open to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Just before we jump in, I do want to say to you, the beautiful listener, that if you enjoy this episode, or even if you don't enjoy this episode, then please feel free to go to Spotify or Apple Music or Apple Podcasts and click the follow and leave us a 5-star review. Those things really help and are a game changer for us. Also, vote for us at the BritishPodcastAwards.com, the Steve Kalis Show. Back to Luke. Well, first of all, how are you? How's family life and everything? All groovy?
Yeah, good. Yeah, just getting used to having a 1-year-old and working the hours I end up working and trying to manage both things.
Is it long hours?
Yeah.
Well, let's get into them. What is it you do for a living?
So my title is a performance analyst, and in that job, I'm working with managers, coaches to help best prepare the players and the staff for upcoming fixtures, and then also to analyse them post-fixture in terms of how we can get better.
Wow.
So I work for Manchester United, was previously at Brentford, and then I've done an internship at Reading, and then I did a little bit of coaching with the foundation at Chelsea. So that's the 4 clubs.
Oh shit! Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah. I've got some fanboy questions. I'll try and resist because I want to get to the meat of. But what I do want to ask you is, when you're working with these like the coaches and the staff and the players and stuff, does it ever become normal? Do you ever go oh bloody hell, there's Harry Maguire, there's Bruno Fernandes? Is it normal, or do you still go as a football fan? You go, bloody hell, there's there's those famous people. Is it still exciting, that part of it?
I mean, to be honest, you have to get past that fast.
Right.
That's of course it's natural to feel that way at the beginning, especially when I joined a team like United, I joined the youth team to work with them. So you saw little glimpses of people and who was around, and when I was at Brentford it was the same. You see different people, you go to different games and see people on that, so it kind of not necessarily dies away, but you've got to be professional, you've got to work with these people, they need something from you, you've got to provide something, so that side of it you almost have to minimise fast.
Right, because you get distracted, go, holy shit,
exactly that, yeah.
Right, see. How do you get into something like that? So what's the journey from, Luke, I knew at school, to Luke who's doing this really, really cool thing? How do you get there?
So the standard journey that most people would take is they would have gone to uni, studied some sort of sports degree, and then from there, they then end up branching off into, which areas they want. So, for instance, I went to Southampton Solent University, and the course I was doing, it was called Football Studies at Solent University, and you could do a bit of coaching, you could do a bit of analysis work, you do a bit of globalisation, sociology of football, and then you really just picked which bits of it that you liked, and then sort out opportunities in those areas. So whilst I was on that course there, and I got to see different sort of areas that was going on, and to be fair, it was nothing that I set out to do. I didn't go to uni thinking this is what I want to do. It was whilst I didn't even know I was going to go to uni until about a year before.
Wow.
It was never something that was on the cards when I was at school, when I first started college. It wasn't until my last year at college really that it was like, well, if I do alright at this course, I get the grades that I can apply for a course and maybe they'll accept me.
Right.
So that's what got me there. And then from there, when you start doing the different topics that you do and you do the work that they set in that, you start finding what areas you quite like. And analysis was one that I quite enjoyed.
So what is it about the analysis, and specifically, what is it that you're looking for? So let's start with what was it about analysis that you enjoyed the most, and why did that grab you?
Well, I did a couple of bits of work on it in the first year, where we had to go away, analyse some of the World Cup games, do what's called notational analysis, where you literally tally up number of passes, shots, and try to build some sort of picture of what's going on from there. So it's quite low level stuff. And I quite enjoyed that. And then once you start then putting that to the video and start trying to look at what's going on in games beyond, let's say, the goals that are being scored, which is what the pundits will maybe look at, I found a real enjoyment for it. But it was still at this point, it was just one topic that I was doing at uni. And then when I went into my second year, the University of Southampton, they had a link with Reading Football Club where they took 4 students to come and work with the youth teams. So I went on that, applied for that, managed to get that, and that's sort of where I then first had hands-on experience working with coaches and trying to help players.
Wow.
So I did that for a year, then finished that going into my third year. Wanted to go back again and do another year there, but it didn't quite work out for a couple of reasons. So I then went back into a bit more coaching, which is what I was doing at college, and that's where I worked for Chelsea Foundation. So I was going around doing the schools, going in the Centre of Excellence, doing like sports days and things like that. And then when I finished uni that year, I either had the option to continue working part-time for Chelsea Foundation and staying in Southampton. So this would have been when my missus would have moved in with me then post-uni. Or I would apply for internships at football clubs. Now, it's changed a little bit now, but when I was doing it then, all the internships were unpaid.
Right.
So you were just having to commit
Got
a
it.
period of time, to go and try and get some experience and hopefully get employment. So I applied for a number of them. Didn't always get through to interviews. Sometimes didn't get them, and it's because really you're asking people to come and move around the country and not necessarily work for pay. So you don't know how committed they're going to be.
Sure.
That's the risk. So people look for local people. They're looking for people to come work nearby. And then fortunately I managed to get one at Brentford where I would be unpaid, but they would pay for my masters. So that was just continuation on from finishing uni. So that was obviously a good opportunity. But I still had the option to pick between: do I continue working part time for Chelsea, try and get some more employment and fund a living with my partner for that, or do I take the unpaid option, get my masters, and then make that little investment to see what the return is at the end of the year? So I opted for the internship. Moved up to London.
Yeah, wow, that's really cool. So at what point then did Manchester United come and knock in, or did you apply for a position there?
So I did 2.5 years at Brentford. So I did that year's internship, and I managed to get a job at the end of it. So I did the internship working with the under-16s. At the end of the year, managed to get myself first full-time job in football, working with the under-21 team. I did that for a year, so I was doing that and the first team. I did that for 1 season, and then did about 6 months working with just the 21s. And then at that point there, I started to see what other opportunities I could get. My CV was a bit stronger now, a couple of years experience. I built up like a skill base really that I thought I could now try and see what else was out there. Went for a couple of jobs, didn't get them, and that gave me a little marker of where maybe I was at.
Right.
And I wasn't actively seeking to, I didn't want to leave, but I was just seeing what opportunities was there for me. And then I went for 2 jobs. I went for a job at Brighton and a job at Man United. But if I'm being honest, when I applied for the job at Man United, I was sort of like, well, I've got my CV ready.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can see where I'm at. See where, let them decide where I am, in comparison to other people, and see if I can get an interview and that. And I managed to. So.
How did that feel? I bet that was cool, wasn't it?
Yeah. But there's a little bit of a story to the first interview that I almost didn't make it there.
Oh, didn't you?
And this may not be possible now.
Wow.
So because I was living in London, neither me or the missus had a car. So I got on the train, tried to make my way up to the training ground at Man United, and I knew I had to get off at Altrincham and then get a bus to the training ground. So I'm on this bus, I'm in my suit, and I'm going down these windy roads. I'm thinking, I'm not sure the training ground's out here. And I knew the sort of road that I had to get off on, but the buses, they didn't say like which. So living in London, you knew every stop you were going to get. Didn't have that. So I'm like, well, where am I here? So I'm trying to check on the phone, the signal's going. Anyway, so I press the button, I get off the bus, and I'm on this S-bend. And I'm like, where am I? So I'm looking on my phone, I'm trying to find out where I am to get a taxi. Can't get it. Signal's gone. I'm thinking the interview's half an hour away maybe. And I'm in a suit and I'm thinking, what do I do here? So I walked across the other side of the road to the other bus stop. Thought I'll wait for a bus and see hopefully one will come through. Just as I got to the other side of the road, a taxi came down the road and I flagged it, and he says, no, I've got someone in the back. But he just happened to be turning off just after the S-bend to drop someone off, literally right next to where that S-bend was, and come back and got me and took me to training ground.
Whoa!
In time for the interview. So that was a sweaty moment.
Yeah, that was Jesus behind the wheel. He knew you needed him.
But yeah, almost didn't make it to that. So did that, managed to get through that, and then I went to work with the youth team.
Wow, the Lord intervened on your behalf then, didn't he?
And it was my 25th birthday.
So you said you helped prepare the team for like upcoming fixtures and post-fixture. Yeah. So is it like analysis of what they've done and that sort of thing? So what does a regular day for you look like? So
that of all the people that do the jobs that I do, it changes depending on which coach you're working with, what part of it. So there's 5 people, 5 people in our department that are doing different bits. Some are working on pre-game, some are working on post-game, some are working on training. It changes across all the clubs. It changes. Now I've done a varying roles across all of the jobs that I've done, where I've been filming games. You film on the wide angle to get a wider picture of the game. I've worked with, as you sort of said there, data, but predominantly I work with video. So it's more about preparing meetings based on what the coach or the manager is after, in terms of how they want to talk to people, because it's evidence based. Yeah. That's how you attempt to use it. It's evidence based. So you want to take video to show what someone's doing or what a team is doing in order to then prepare for that. Which shows visual learning.
So, and how does that impact? So then, would the manager then say, okay, well, these guys have highlighted that, you need to stick closer to your man, you're wandering off from your position, whatever it may be, and you've highlighted that, and you'll say to the manager, you need to pinpoint this.
Yeah.
So you help the manager with what he needs to highlight in training and stuff.
It's like a two-way transaction. So the coach and the managers, they'll know what they're looking for. They'll set out ways of how we want our analysts to work for the team, what we expect from the analyst in order for our preparation. To go on, so some might just want a little report and say, there's the report, have that, this is what you've asked for. They'll then go away and work off that. Some will ask for more, some will ask for more input from the analysis department. What I'm currently doing is I'm working on post-match, so it's my job to work with the manager and the coaches on how we've performed, how we feed that back to the players, to then learn from the performance, improve how we play for a longer period of time, and then try and get better results.
So wow, that's cool. So is it a case of just you hand over information, or do you advise and say it might be worth not going too hard on this player because of morale's fragile, don't throw a shoe at him, do you advise like that? Like
not so much like that. I mean, the managers, the elite managers, they know how to handle players. That's their forte. When it comes to the players and dealing with them, that's them. That's not for me to do. Our job is to help them with their delivery.
Yeah, sure.
So if they want to show this is how we're going to exploit a team, they need examples of what that looks like and how to exploit it. That's where we come into it to help provide them with those. Or if they want to talk to a player about a particular thing they've done well or not so well, that's where we will then search for that through the video and provide them with it. And it's all about turnaround. You're playing games sort of every 3 or 4 days.
Oh yeah, of course.
So the turnaround is tight. Yeah. So that's where things have to be smooth. You have to have processes so that those sorts of things can happen regularly and fast. Yeah.
So what's like the sort of working hours for it? Like, I mean, it's not it won't be a 9 to 5. I mean, or is it? Or what's your working hours? What do they ask of you? Like, what's the commitment?
Well, we usually, at the minute, we're usually in 6 days a week. Especially with playing like a game every 3 days, it's like this. You have to have training days to prepare and then to recover. Yeah. So on average, it's a 6 day week really, and then sometimes 6.5, 7 day, because that day off that you've got, you might have work that you need to prepare.
So I suppose that's tough in one way because you've got a young family and you want to be there. Yeah. But also, I suppose it's not a surprise because you are an elite team. You're an elite organisation.
Yeah, it'll be the same at all the clubs.
Right.
All the clubs we work in all the way around the clock to try and make improvements, gains, to try and get that little bit better or to be more prepared.
Yeah.
So
that's interesting.
I mean, the schedule is always dictated by the games.
Right.
but it's always, everyone's looking for little gains, ways to improve, how to work smarter.
Yeah. Right. Wow, that's really cool. And thanks for sharing that, man. That's really, really interesting. And like I said at the start, my hope here is that some kid somewhere in Yeovil is going to listen to this, or some parents going to listen to this and think, man, it doesn't have to be a case of, okay, you have to do this, you have to go the normal route everyone else does, stay in Yeovil, do that. You can change your stance a little bit. You can aspire to something really cool. I mean, the job that you're doing is the stuff that, especially young kids who love football, that's the dream. They would give anything to be anywhere near what you're doing. Are you aware of that from time to time? Do you ever have to go, bloody hell, look what I'm doing? Do you have to pinch yourself sometimes and think, this is what a dream job? Or do you have to, like you said, stay relatively grounded and concentrate? Or are you so busy that you ain't got time to think about it?
It's probably more the second two, like very busy, but also always try and stay grounded, like, never, be too impressed with it or anything like that. Everyone always asks questions and things like that.
Yeah.
But really, what we're talking about now is the more important thing. It's about how someone else can do it.
I don't suppose it's common knowledge exactly what happens in and around a football club. And so when I found out sort of what you did, I thought that's really interesting, because you mentioned earlier there's 4 or 5 of you that are in the sort of data department. So what else is there? Is there lots more people we don't know that are behind the scenes and working for the club? Or what's that situation?
Yeah, so I mean, a club like Man United would employ a lot of people working with the team, but also working with the finances of the team, the administration of everything that's going on. So like in the first, I think maybe we've got 25 to 30 members of staff that are all contributing in their own way to that team performing on a weekend. And it's like, it'll be seen a little bit, the number of people that are in and around the benches and that travel on the buses with the team and that, but there's a lot of different jobs that's going on and people supporting the team that don't necessarily get seen, but it's opportunities there for careers and jobs. So
talk about the specific journey from Yeovil College to where you are. So when you were in college, what was your goal? What did you want to do?
Well, so again, at that point when I was 15, 16, I still had no idea. Like, as most of us, we don't really know what we're going to do, what we're going to end up doing. You just know what you're interested in. So when I was at school, like a lot of kids, disengaged with school, really, not really putting anything into it, so I was never really going to get anything majorly out of it. So I ended up going to college one day a week, and they put me on engineering.
Oh, right.
They put the boys on engineering, the girls on hairdressing. So I was like, I'm not enjoying engineering at all, but I'm at school one day a week, so
and that's such
great.
a Yeovil thing as well, and that's no coincidence, because it's such a big engineering town. You know what I mean? It's like you're being almost farmed like lemmings into, well, we need engineers, and you go, but I don't want to be an engineer. But we need engineers.
Like, there wasn't like another course I could have done. They just said it's engineering or school for a day. So I did the engineering for a few weeks, and that was welding, and I didn't enjoy it one bit. So I went back to them and said, like, I want to do sports what I'm interested in. There's nothing else really that catches me, so there must be something at Yeovil College I can do. So I went and I managed to get on an MVQ course, and you won't realise, but this is how I know all we used, because I went on that course, and that's where I met Santino.
Oh, wow.
And that's where we became friends, and then he introduced me to you guys. Just by that sort of asking to go on trying to seek something out for myself of, this is what I enjoy, this is what I want to do, surely there's something out that I can do for that, and that got me onto a sports course. So that got me into college one day a week whilst I was still at school, and then when I finished school, as I said, I didn't really take much from school, so I didn't come with great, I can go on the top course at college or something like that. So I just went to the second level of the MVQ and just continued that. So I did a year of that. And at the end of it, I had to then decide again, what am I doing next? Because you're just living almost year to year. I do that course, do this course.
Right.
And I remember I applied for one of the courses at Yeovil College, and I turned up the first day. And it was a 2-year course. I turned up and I thought, I'm not sure I'm in the right class here. I'm not sure this ain't the sports class that I asked to go on.
Like everyone's fat and stoned.
Well, I can't remember, but I just remember just thinking, I'm sure I'm not on the right one here. It just happened. I had been on the wrong course, and I was on this other one that I wanted to be on. But because over that year I'd sort of applied myself a bit better, they actually allowed me to go on a higher course.
Right.
And I went and did the British National Diploma in sport, and that was again a 2-year course. I started that again, still not really knowing what was going to happen. But the people I was there with, they were a bit more switched on. They knew they would wanted to go to university. They knew they were coming on this course. This is the grades they needed, and I sort of didn't figure that out until about a year in.
Yeah.
That actually, if I apply myself over the next 18 months, I can hit certain grades that will allow me then to do what these lot are doing. These are all one about going to uni and that, and I think, that might be interesting. So I followed them all on like a weekend down to Plymouth Margins just to see what university was like. And again, you're just finding what's the next thing.
Yeah.
So it was college. Now it was uni. I can carry on doing sport.
Right.
So I still didn't know that that's what I'm going to go to uni. I'm going to go and do that. I just thought I'm going to go to uni. I'll continue working on sport and that. And so I just applied myself for the next 18 months at college, put my head down really, and that was really where I then started to knuckle down and sort of work out, whatever I put in, I'll get back.
Because I suppose you run the risk, if you don't go to college or university, you run the risk that if you aren't already friends with people who are motivated and driven and have a direction, then you can also sort of get lost, can't you? But it helps being in college because you're with people who are going, well, I want to do this, and and then that makes you sort of semi-focus, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely for me it was, because like uni was never anything that ever came into my mind that I can go and do that. And it's not, it's not the be all and end all, but it's an avenue to the opportunities that are out there.
Yeah.
So that was really what got me. I just knuckled down for a year.
Yeah. So it was a lot of hard work. Was it the university course and stuff?
Yeah, and then so I did 3 years at uni on the undergrad, and had to to get certain grades on that to get through things and just knuckle down. But really, you were trying to work out what more precisely now what you wanted to do.
Does it help as well, because I suppose the university helps you to find what your strengths and weaknesses are?
Yeah.
So does it help you identify, actually I'm good at this, I'm good at analysing this, I'm good at finding this out, so maybe that's where I should pursue? Is that what was...
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, the topics that we were doing on there, they were the ones that then caught my eye, or I quite enjoy that. I can do that. Actually, people need that at clubs.
Yeah.
So you start to work that out, because I didn't work that out until I went for this one at Reading. It was like, well, this is a job. Like, people are doing this daily. I quite enjoy this. I can maybe try and get a job doing this. Because I was still thinking about coaching. I was still thinking that go work in the schools. Try and work your way up there, get your badges, and see where that takes you. Because I quite enjoyed that as well.
How common is the job that you do throughout the football pyramid in England now? I mean, is it like a Premiership thing, or is
no, all clubs. Even like so. That was another thing as well, that when I was finishing uni doing the coaching and I was looking for opportunities, one thing I did do is I went and just worked with a Wessex Premier team.
Right.
Someone I knew at Chelsea, were doing coaching for them as well, and they said, "I'll come along when the season starts. We'll get you a camera. You can film the games. We can feed this back." So at that point, I was still applying for opportunities. All these clubs trying to get into their academies to try and get some work, get myself some experience, to try and again get a full-time job. Yeah. And whilst I was doing that, and I was coaching, and I was deciding what I wanted to do, I joined a team like that. So that was like not a local team, but it was a local team that were playing at a decent level.
Yeah.
So even at that level, I don't know, maybe it's the same level as Dorchester or something like that.
Yeah.
A team like that I went to and assisted them with the coaching, so literally picking cones up, just being there, but then also getting ready to then start filming the game, start giving the coaches something that they can look back at.
Cool.
At that level. And it was purely just one, to show hunger, like it was just a hunger that I had, but it was to try and get some experience so I could keep building that CV, so that when I applied for the job, the CV was a little bit better, and then the CV was a little bit better again. That was what it was really. So that only lasted about 3 months, because I then took the one at Brentford.
Yeah. Wow. And what's it like at Brentford? Is it a similar role to what you're doing now, or has it changed a little bit since? Has the job changed since you started doing it, or is it pretty much the same? Like, do you know?
Well, I mean, like I say, it does change a lot depending on who's in charge.
Right.
So when I was joined Brentford, I was working in the academy. So again, you're working with a lot of younger people, a lot of younger coaches. Everyone's open-minded. That's one benefit I've had throughout my whole career, is I've worked with like great people, like top people that allow you to get on with a job, empower you, and also want to collaborate. Brilliant. And that's been a good thing that I've had. But when I was doing that, then it was much about trying to find work. So you were looking at what's going on, what's coaches talking to players about, what coach is talking about, how can I help that? Yeah. What discussions they're having with other coaches. What can I do to be part of that? What can I do to help them, give them something, about that? So you're constantly trying to find work out, and then that makes you more reliable, more needed, more in time with what's going on, and that's how you sort of build yourself up a little bit, and again make that skill base stronger and make the CV stronger.
It is inspiring what you do, and I think it's motivational and it's fucking cool as well. It's a really cool thing that you do, and I hope that, like I said, I hope people are watching, listening in, suddenly realise that the world's massive. You can do whatever you like, you've got to work hard for it. Is there anything that you think our listeners should know before we say au revoir in another few days?
I mean, like you say there, it doesn't matter what the discipline that you go into. It's more about not putting that much pressure on yourself that I have to find something, and allow yourself to find something. Just explore different bits, explore different topics in the industry that you're working in to really find what you want to do. And then once I found that, I just went sort of tunnel vision on it. Yeah. And it was, what am I prepared to give to get back? Yeah. And that's what I said. Like, we moved to London. My missus to this day still thinks I tricked her, because we moved into like an attic conversion of a house, and she thought I was getting paid. So to this day, we turned up there, and day one she had to try and get a job. I got myself a part-time job alongside that to support us, get us through that year. So it was, what was I willing to give, and that just can't change now. So yeah. Whatever the next thing is. And
so on the other side of hard work and commitment and a little bit of sacrifice is the life a lot of people want, I suppose. I suppose that sometimes you have to spend something to get something, and sometimes that's committing, sometimes that's making the move, sometimes that's whatever it might be. And it sounds like you paid your dues. You committed and did the work that needed to be done, and I think that's impressive. And now you're reaping the rewards of that. So that's brilliant. That's a good life lesson for everybody. Josh, anything you want to ask?
Don't think so. No. Do you still stay in contact with people you went to university with, and have they landed themselves in equally quite cool jobs?
Yeah. So when I was at uni, I worked with some great people and new connections, and that's kind of how it works really. Is that like the lad that I was working with at Reading, who I'm really good mates with now, I went to his wedding and all that. He's now working for he's worked for different clubs in different roles and that. So I've seen because there's different avenues you can go down when it comes to analysis. Yeah. Some go down the recruitment path, some go down the performance. I went down the performance. A friend of mine at uni has gone down the recruitment side, and this is where the analysis can expand off. So you come into clubs working to support coaches and managers, and then you dart off into recruitment or other areas where you're supporting different departments now through using that skill base that you've got that transfers across. But yeah, there was a number of people like there. When I was at Brentford, there was a lad that I went uni with. Opportunity came up straight away. By the way, I know you were keen to get into analysis. There's opportunities going here. So there's like a good sort of base of people now from uni, and then also from other clubs.
I'm chuffed for you. I think you've done a really amazing thing, and I'm really proud of you and what you're doing. And unless there's anything that you feel that we need to touch on?
I think we've covered most of it. Yeah, I think.
Really? Luke, thanks again, mate. Really, really appreciate it. Thanks to our producer, Josh White, who has elected to remain off camera, but you heard his dulcet tones partly through the episode there. And thank you for listening and for watching. Please subscribe or click the follow button or leave us a review. It really, really helps. And go to BritishPodcastAwards.com and vote for us to get a Listener's Choice Award. We're up against the sort of juggernauts of the podcasting industry, and I think we've got a shot at doing well there. So thanks again. Thanks to Luke and Josh, and we'll see you next time.